Sir Keir Starmer thinks you're dangerous if you have right-wing political views.
A dangerous right-wing politics. You want to know what Farage and Reform are doing on their rare visits to Parliament? They're voting against our Employment Rights Bill. They claim to be the party of patriotism, but they're fawning over Putin.
So, not far-right, not fascist, not Nazi views, no, just right-wing political views makes you a danger to society under Labour Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Well, I want to push back on that because this was revealed over the weekend.
I'm a police officer, Helen. To you.
Under Keir Starmer's Labour government, 2 police officers turned up at a middle-aged woman's house because she did a Facebook post calling for Labour politicians to resign for their role in a WhatsApp group that had racist, homophobic and ageist content in it. So under this Labour government, if you call for a left-wing politician to resign, the STASI knock on your front door. Greater Manchester has one of the highest crime rates in the country, and the police seemingly did absolutely nothing to stop a group of Asian men who appeared to be trying to vandalise a police station in Rochdale after the Manchester airport incident.
Yeah, go on, lad. Just watch him.
Right, great. All they would have had to have done there, by the way, was just come outside their own police station. And it appeared they didn't want to do that. But who reported Helen Jones, that aforementioned middle-aged woman, to the police for her Facebook post? Was it members of the local Labour Party? I wonder. Because in Wales, a Labour member of staff reported a former Royal Marine to police for a Facebook video in which he said that illegal immigration was making us less safe.
Little one's been lost and 5 still critical. Okay. And that's the main reason really why I'm making this video. We couldn't make a video about 3 months ago, and I warned that this type of thing was going to start happening. We, as a community, should not let any of these type people into our valley, okay? We shouldn't let any of these migrants who've just come into the country, okay, settle here in the valleys. We need to be onto the councillors. We need to be onto the politicians to make sure this doesn't happen.
He was arrested, charged, remanded in custody and went to court after a Labour staff member reported him to police. It took a jury just 17 minutes to acquit him. 17 minutes. It's this Labour government that saw one of their own MPs get drunk and batter a constituent on the street.
Okay. You won't ever threaten me again, will you? Ever threaten me again, will you?
The victim was beaten up and punched on the floor by right-wing politics. Was he, Prime Minister? Was that right-wing politics that battered him? No. It's this Labour government that forced Apple to give them access to your private photos, videos and files. Starmer's government stands accused of a Big Brother-style Orwellian invasion of your privacy. In fact, it's this Labour government that's spending millions of pounds of taxpayers' money on a new artificial intelligence tool that will spy on your social media posts. If you post something that they think might pose a risk to national security, then they'll nick you for it. So under Labour, you are paying for the software to spy on yourself. It's under this Labour government, police in Wales enforced one of the UK's largest ever facial recognition rollouts in Cardiff city centre. Now, look, hey, just watch this again.
We don't show a path to the future. Others will fill that void. In fact, they already are. A dangerous right-wing politics.
What I think Keir Starmer is doing here is trying to put a target on the back of anyone who is right-wing by making them all out to be dangerous. And should we just have a little look here, right? This was at Reform UK's rally earlier on today in Cornwall. Just have a look at some of these characters that turned up outside.
Refugees are welcome here! Refugees are welcome here!
I mean, firstly, imagine the smell. I'd like to know how many of them are on benefits as well. But all of them masked up, looking quite intimidating, there to intimidate people. They are left-wing, aren't they? They are far left. That's not people with right-wing views. The people with right-wing views were inside, having a peaceful conference, talking amongst each other about policy and all of that stuff. You got that loud, but it's the people inside that are a danger, is it, Prime Minister? Look, in my view, the biggest threat to this country is actually Keir Starmer's Labour Party, not right-wing politics like, oh, I don't know, lowering tax, deporting foreign criminals and stopping migrant hotels. Let's go to thoughts from my panel this evening. We've got former Labour Party Special Advisor Paul Richards, journalist and broadcaster Carol Malone of the Daily Express, and also, of course, former chairman of the Tory Party, Sir Jay Berry. Carol, I'll start with you. You know, what do you make of what the Prime Minister says there? You know, the dangerous right-wing politics.
Well, I mean, it's exactly as you just said. It is ridiculous. What we just saw with Helen Jones in Manchester was a sinister abuse of power. It was Orwellian. And it is a shocking indictment of what this country has become under Keir Starmer's government. And if he doesn't agree with what happened to Grandma Helen Jones, well, then he should stand up and say, those cops aren't acting under my orders. That is not what I want to happen. But he hasn't done that, and he won't do that. And I just think, you know, when you have a city like Manchester, the second dangerous in the entire country, it has one of the highest crime rates in the country, 140,000 violent offences in 2023, 101,000 thefts, 70% of burglaries never solved, 32 murders. When you have all of that going on, you have time for two senior detectives, because those guys were middle-aged guys, to go and knock on the door of a grandma for saying stuff like, this is what she said. This is what she said.
How awful was this? Wait, do I have to put a trigger warning on this?
Brace yourself. Brace yourself. Let's hope he does the decent thing and resigns. Wow. Not looking good for David Sedgwick. Terrible.
I tell you what, that's almost, I mean, that's the kind of thing Hitler would have said.
Well, exactly. Oh. And will you be resigning? There you go.
So gosh.
What those councillors and that MP and what said on the WhatsApp messages was way worse than that.
Yeah.
It was disgusting. It was odious.
Well, there you
inciting death, misogyny, whatever.
What do you think of this? You know, is this, for Keir Starmer's come, the language has changed. It's gone from being far right. It's gone from being fascist. Now, if you've just got right-wing views, you're a danger to society under Keir Starmer. We've rattled off a whole host of things there. I mean, surely he's more of a danger, isn't it?
Well, it appears that we're now moving to... I actually can't believe I'm saying this. We're moving to a situation in this country where to disagree politically with the ruling party, in this case the Labour Party, is being criminalised to the extent that, even though I don't think this woman committed a criminal offence, people are being... Well, she did. Clearly she didn't. People are being intimidated by law enforcement coming round to their house, triggered by a political complaint one suspects by a Labour Party activist. And in fact, when the lady asked the police officer about it, he said, yes, it has come from a political party activist.
Labour have sent the police round to
That's what's been reported today in the Daily Mail. And
well,
what I find
let's get the words right, because so you don't get told off for this. What the cop said was, when she said, was it David Sedgwick who sent you round? He said, the cop said, your thought process on that are correct.
Right, OK. Well, look,
so, yes, but, you know, and what I just think about this is, to some extent, this actually started during COVID. So this isn't just the thing with Keir Starmer, this overreach by the police. But what we've seen is, since the Labour Party's come into power, that it's gone into overdrive, and it's just creepy.
Right. Go on. What's a load of garbage? OK, the police are operationally independent. The idea that Keir Starmer is directing two coppers in Manchester to go and knock on somebody's door is nonsense.
No one said that.
And you both know that. The implication is that somehow this has been politically directed. And I'm going to defend the cops here. I'm going to defend our police, because if they felt there was a need to do that, that's why they did it. That's why the police have to... That's why the police have to justify it.
Just this you, Paul, right?
Because they've put their... Are you going to do their statement? Where's the police statement? You know the statement is...
Probably at some point called for Boris Johnson to resign, I imagine, right?
Possibly, I
can't
can't
recall. So that's what this woman's done. If I called the police and said, you need to go around to this guy's house, and they went round to your house and they knocked on your door, you'd be saying that is the right-wing police.
But that's
like the jackboot army of a fascist dictator.
I wouldn't use that language at all. And I think calling the police Stasi and Gestapo and all this sort of stuff is a disgrace.
Why did they go to her house? No crime had been committed.
That's why senior police...
No crime had been committed. They said to her on the phone,
that's why.
No crime has been committed. We just want to give you some advice.
So the question, Carol, then, is why do the police do that, then? And I think you do need...
You know why they did it? Because David Sedgwick sent them round.
Well, that's not how our system works. Councillors don't direct what the police do.
They just said that he made the complaint.
Councillors do not direct the actions of operational actions of the police.
The councillor rings up and says to the cops, this woman's made a complaint. They've just ignored that. When he says, the cop has said...
That's not how it works. It's not how it works.
Clearly how
so why did they do it? If it's not directly, why did they do it?
Well, because a senior police officer told them to, and that's the question you have to answer.
And why did he do that?
Why? Well, not because of political interference, because they are operationally independent. That's the strength of our police. It's not.
Who is head of the police in Manchester?
It's about operational
Who's
decisions.
head of the police in Manchester?
What are you blaming? Are you saying the Labour Party directed those police officers? Is that your accusation, Jake? Because you know that's not true.
Well, let me finish. So
it's not true,
there was
is
a complaint to obviously. From you say, I don't know, but you say probably to a senior officer. I'm sure that's right. And then the police went round to the house to question this lady or to complain. When they themselves knew that no crime had been committed.
I remember when the Conservatives used to back the cops.
That is not political direction of the police. What is it? By your own words, you've condemned yourself out of your own mouth.
Do you think they're the Gestapo, then? Is that a word you would use?
In all fairness to Patrick, he didn't describe them as the Gestapo.
They're all over.
So, out of your own mouth, you said that the police had been politically directed.
They're not being politically directed. It's a decision, operational decision by a senior police officer.
A Labour councillor has a word and two senior detectives, when they've got all the rest of this stuff going on in Manchester, 140,000 violent offences last year, 32
Well, I'm sure we're going to hear the police statements in a moment, aren't we? But they said 6 seconds to warn somebody that there'd been a complaint about them and they went away again. That's all they did.
They didn't go away.
They didn't arrest her.
Why didn't they go and arrest her for shoplifting?
They didn't arrest her.
Deal with the car crime that she was complaining about.
She wasn't arrested.
This is a disgrace where we have the police pursuing political vendettas on behalf of political parties.
There's this case.
That's not what happened.
Paul, what is directly the responsibility of the Labour Party is what they've just been very forceful with Apple doing. So they are, I think, pretty much the only government in the world who've been demanding that Apple give them access to all of our iCloud data, whether that's pictures, whether it's videos, whether it's files, whether it's whatever it is. I think in the hands of the wrong people, that is a massive concern. It also makes it easier for hackers. Also, Labour has decided to spend a couple of million quid on artificial intelligence to trawl social media.
Good.
Like misinformation.
Absolutely right. You've just identified all kinds of threats to this nation, including foreign actors, including homegrown Islamic fascism, and all of these threats. And a lot of that is incubated and percolated through the social media. And that's why I think we should double the amount of surveillance going on that, because that's where these ideas
But you understand that
take hold.
They have been very vague about the type of people they're targeting here. So
I don't think it's vague at all. I think it's people who threaten our nation.
Given the current climate, what we saw was a Labour member of staff of the Welsh Senate.
Who's that guy? I've never even heard of that guy.
Well, you've never even heard of that guy. You never even heard of the Royal Marine who was...
No, not the Royal Marine. I'm talking about this so-called Labour staffer. Who is he?
He worked for a Labour MP or MSP or whatever it is in Wales. And he reported...
Member of the Senate.
Member of the Senate,
Not really a major player in the Labour Party. He happens to...
Royal Marine to prison, right? It took a jury 17 minutes to acquit this.
So the system works.
No, it doesn't work.
Well, he was acquitted.
He never should have been put through that.
He was acquitted and he was out in seconds.
The guy has an opinion.
In custody.
He has an opinion on immigration, and he gets arrested. Why? We're legally entitled to have an opinion, whether it agrees with the government or not.
Well, like I say, I will back the police.
Helen Jones has been penalised for her opinion. She says now she's too terrified to post anything on social media because she's terrified the cops are going to come again.
And Paul,
what kind of society is that?
What you say about this industrial scale data collection that the government is doing against the British people, And you say it's all for the right reasons.
Well, using laws that your party introduced, by the way.
I would naturally feel, well, in fact, maybe we should support that. Maybe if you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to fear.
That's right.
But all of the evidence would point to the fact that we have a deeply, deeply politicised judicial system that is targeting people for disagreeing. We've heard it from the own Prime Minister's mouth. We've heard it from the own Prime Minister's mouth at the Scottish Labour conference saying right-wing views are dangerous. That is our Prime Minister of our nation. And if you don't think those sort of statements by the leader of a nation have an effect on civil service, on people in the police force, and people in the security services, then I'm sorry, I don't think you live in the same country I live in.
I remember when the Conservatives used to support the judiciary and the police, but not anymore, it would seem.
Well, not a judiciary who seems to have an agenda. We had Baroness Carr last week talking about how we shouldn't be criticising a decision that we think is wrong. Of course we should. Of course we should.
Well,
we are no longer a free society.
Let's hear what Greater Manchester Police had to say. So their statement is this: we spoke to the woman for 6 minutes to advise that she was the subject of a complaint of harassment and to answer any questions she may have. No further action is necessary as no crime has been committed. We're under a duty to inform her that she is the subject of a complaint. The genuine threats that have been made to local councillors recently have meant it has become more necessary to ensure all reports are looked at. I will just clarify again what she actually said. She said that what? What was
she
it?
said her thing. Well, hang on. She said.
But that's a good statement,
not
isn't it? 6
looking
minutes.
Good for not looking good for David Sedgwick.
To inform her.
Will you resign, Mr. Sedgwick? Let's hope he does the decent thing and resign. That is not incendiary. And if they had to inform her, they could have done it by phone and not go to her house.
2 nights ago, right? 2 nights ago, I was in my flat and there was a bloke screaming on the street for about 20 minutes or half an hour, banging on the window of a flat, a ground floor flat underneath mine. The police were called. It turned out it was the guy's mum, right, who he was trying to break to a flat off his nut on whatever he was on. And the police turn up and they don't realise I'm watching off the balcony of my flat. And this guy doesn't run away from them. He walks away and he's 50 yards away from them. The police don't realise anyone can see this. And this woman comes out of her flat hysterical, saying he's attacked her in her own home. The police look down the road, he's there, you can see him, and they go, oh, he's gone now. Oh, he's gone.
Can I tell you something?
But the wider point...
Because the police go, they are shocking. They'll knock on your door if you want a Labour politician.
It's what left-wing governments always do.
Sick of it.
They collect information on you, they intimidate you, and they tell you it's for your own safety and your own good. That is the route Britain is on.
In terms of the coppers, can I tell you something? I've had a death threat from a guy. I told the police 2.5 weeks ago about it. They still haven't come back to me. They can go back to a granny 48 hours after the thing.
Well,
but the bloke who's threatening to kill...
I've had that too.
Not
it's ridiculous. You're right. I've had that too.
And they know who he is, by the way.
People threatening to kill me, the police don't want to know. But